Alaikum ji. Welcome back to another episode of Kahe, Kazi. My guest today was Sadia Khatri. Sadia is a writer. We get to speaking about the different dimensions of privilege, on how it's about time that we start peeling them off, about feminism, patriarchy, about how privilege bleeds into religiosity, about walking on the streets, about girls at Dhabas, about using privilege, and about tacit and non-tacit complicity. Enjoy. 3, 2, 1. Sadia Khatri. How are you doing, Sadia?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you, Akbar, for having me.
Of course, dude. Of course. You come highly recommended. We were just speaking about privilege and the layers that you need to unpack. And we can go right there because aajkal jo hai, I have no chill. But before that, you're a writer.
I'm a writer.
By profession, you're a writer.
I'm a writer. I'm
Yes.
a teacher.
Yes.
I'm a multidisciplinary artist.
Okay.
And I'm a feminist.
Feminist तो सभी नहीं?
सभी हैं आजकल हाँ बोलना जरूरी होता है
हाँ,
मेरे
अच्छा,
ख्याल से बहुत ताकत होती है बोलने में.
Sahi. And that's what you said
Yeah.
about also dressing up. I remarked that you're wearing a sari.
Yes, I am wearing.
Which is very cool.
Yeah,
but you
thank
said it counts for something, what I'm wearing.
Yeah, I think जब आप especially when you're in a position of privilege.
Yeah.
Or perceived privilege,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
लोग मुझे देख के they assume certain things about what my religion is, what my gender is, but वो एक privilege है मेरी society में तो उस privilege के साथ मैं क्या करती हूँ and how am I pushing the boundaries of a collective imagination through my privilege. So if I start wearing a sari every day as a perceived Muslim woman or whatever others might want to think, right? If I start wearing a dress which is not associated with that demographic, that's me using my privilege to push the imagination of what an everyday Muslim woman looks like.
That's interesting. That's actually very powerful, yes.
Yeah.
I once read this book by Horkheimer and this one other person, I can't remember. They were Jews. They were American Jewish academics called The Dialectic of Enlightenment.
Okay.
Right?
I don't know anything about it.
No, but you do though. See,
Okay.
so you are contributing to it. And even then, it wasn't so much enlightenment that enthralled me, right? Enlightenment to hum sabko alag-alag raaste pata hai. You know, we believe that Muslims believe that we can get to enlightenment through prayer and all those things. Buddhists believe through deep meditation and foregoing materialistic. Sabka apna hota hai. There's some sects of Christianity that believe in deep penance, right? There's all sorts of things. Dialectic is what interested me. So dialectic, the only way I can describe it now is a river of knowledge, a generational river of knowledge that flows through all of us. Now it's on us to add something to it, right? The dialectic is everything. And we are all either contributing good things or contributing bad things. We're always contributing.
We're always contributing.
Say-
Absolutely.
so-
Har waqt.
So if
Yes.
if I in my rage or ignorance or anger or privilege, if I say औरत मार्च जो है वो एक फजूल चीज़ है जो दिमागी फतूर है हाई सोसाइटी की
मतलब मैं
ख़वातीन
उठ के
का
चली जाऊँ।
नहीं but if I say that
Right.
that stays too in the dialectic.
Absolutely. So when you have privilege, especially, you have to be very thoughtful, especially in the public eye, especially if you, and in some ways, I have been a public personality.
Sure.
Because of Girls at Dhabas, because of the feminist collective that we used to have, which was about public spaces and, women and non-binary people's right to everyday leisure in public spaces. ये हमारा एक collective था, right? कि हम इस बारे में बात करते थे कि जो हमारी सड़कें हैं वहाँ पे हमें औरतें नॉन-बाइनरी लोग उस तरह से उस ईज से क्यों नहीं नज़र आते, हमारे एवरीडे लैंडस्केप का हिस्सा नहीं है. एक औरत एक लड़की बाहर क्यों नहीं निकल रही to take a walk, to go on the cycle without reason.
Yeah.
And often the reason given to us is safety, right? कि वो आपको कुछ हो जाएगा,
कुछ यकीनन होगा.
कुछ यकीनन होगा.
हाँ.
तो वो तो घर में भी होता है. Now here's the interesting thing. When you look at it statistically, maximum violence, especially physical violence, emotional violence, but physical violence, assault, which includes harassment, rape of all degrees, that takes place against women, most of it is taking place inside the char diwari by someone usually known to the survivor.
Yeah.
It's not a stranger on the
No,
street.
no, no, no,
I'm
no.
not saying कि सड़क पे कैट कॉलिंग नहीं होती. I think दुनिया की कोई भी दुनिया का कोई मुल्क ऐसा नहीं है जहाँ पे मैं गई हूँ
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
I haven't been been addressed in ways that have left me distraught, etc. लेकिन definitely यहाँ पे ज़्यादा कीड़ा है हमारे पास.
Sure.
हमारा मुल्क extra हम extra खिसके हुए हैं. लेकिन इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि हम सारी एनर्जी अपनी स्ट्रीट्स पे डाल देते हैं कि औरत बाहर कैसी है, कैसी दिखेगी, क्या पहनेगी, कहाँ जाएगी, किसके साथ जाएगी, क्या बोलेगी. एग्जैक्टली राइट. किसी महरम के साथ है या नहीं, मर्द है उसके साथ नहीं. ओके, इफ यू गो विद योर फ्रेंड इट्स ओके. व्हाई कैन आई जस्ट गो टेक अ वॉक? And then the interesting thing here is it's a scam because most of the violence is at home, whether it's bodily policing,
Yeah.
whether it's surveillance,
Sure.
whether it's rape.
You said अभी थोड़ी देर पहले rape of all degrees, right? You obviously mean marital rape. You mean
I meant assault of all degrees.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not talk about it in degrees. I
Okay.
think that's another thing we need to dismantle. हम
Yes.
सोचते हैं कि एक चीज़ ज़्यादा बुरी है, एक चीज़ कम बुरी है.
Yeah.
You know, कि अच्छा नहीं तो मैं सिर्फ छेड़ा ही तो ना, ये तो नहीं हुआ तुम्हारे साथ. ये भी एक narrative है ना.
Oh no.
कि,
Okay. So it's absolutely
let's
all of
say-
it is wrong.
Yeah, let's just talk about assault and violence against women.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just talk about how while we tell women कि बाहर नहीं जाना है, कुछ हो जाएगा, घर के अंदर की हम बात नहीं करते.
And you say most of it happens. Is it a infinitely large percentage? Like, is it like 80 to 20 or something?
Yes, it is something like that. And that's, you ask any woman, or even, let's not even limit it to women, but even assault that takes place against boys and non-binary folks, it is, usually someone you trust.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it happens. And so it's really interesting कि हमने एक बड़ी अजीब सी, एक बड़ी अच्छी गेम बना दी है ना. हमने कहा यार देखो, women are in danger. So they need to not go outside because bahar na danger hai. Someone will hurt them, something will happen.
Sure.
Let's keep them inside. Let's keep them inside where they are at greater risk. That is why we don't talk about private spaces. We don't talk about the fathers and the brothers and the husband and the marital rapes, right? We don't talk about that. We say, nahi, bahar kuch ho jayega. So a lot of the girls at Dhabas work was about shifting this sort of, attention and talking about our right to public spaces and our right to public spaces as a relief from inside spaces. Private spaces में हमें घुटन हो रही होती है यार.
Sure.
आप औरत को बंद कर देते हो और आप बोलते तुम यहाँ पे you live here, you sleep here, you suffer here, and once you suffer in that private space in whatever way, you have to stay in that private space.
Sure.
Where the baggage is, where the trauma is.
Yes.
तो जो शहर की जगह है या एक outside space है, सिर्फ शहर नहीं है, बाहर मैदान, खेत, just nature.
Anything.
वो मेरे लिए एक रूहानी ज़रूरत है किसी भी इंसान की. Right?
Sure.
Having a relationship with nature, with the outdoors, and having a relationship with the city, at least for me, it is so integral to my well-being, to my mental health.
I could
And
not
it
disagree.
helps
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
when I have that, it actually helps me deal with the rest of it. All the other shit that I have to deal with as a woman, when I have my agency to walk around, to roam around, to wear what I want, and feel in my body, I have more confidence. I feel more sure of myself. I don't doubt myself. And I have more himmat to yell back, whether it is in private spaces or public spaces. I take walks a lot. I take walks and I cycle.
Okay.
और गर्ल्स एट ढाबा से हमारा ये था कि हम ग्रुप करते थे. We'd have group walks and group meetups, So how do you get women to be comfortable? Because it's not easy, right,
No,
to step out.
but the group then is at least a function of safety because there is also
No,
risk of safety.
so there's
Yeah.
of course, safety, not in the sense, I don't know how much of it is, I would still say कि it's not safety. The problem here is really respectability.
नहीं,
एक
अच्छा,
लड़की
नहीं,
को आप अकेले देखोगे ना बाहर,
हाँ.
उसके बाप को मसला होगा, उसके खानदान को मसला होगा, वो पिक्चर चली गई, this.
हाँ.
You see here in a group,
हाँ.
it's socially more acceptable.
Okay, sure. So
So
palatability.
Yes.
But जो मसले कराची में मर्दों को भी होते हैं वो तो कम से कम वो सिक्योरिटी इश्यूज तो फिर भी है ना. फोन चोरी हो गया.
वो तो regardless है ना, आपको गाड़ी में mugging हो जाती है.
हाँ.
I'm saying that I want to make the argument here that the threat of risk or safety as we're talking is the same. Is the same in other, like, degrees पे फर्क है.
Same.
Oh,
That's okay.
when I get excited, no? Definitely
very-
there's a
very
difference where
beautiful, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sexual threat का फर्क है. I agree with that.
सही.
Yes.
सही.
वो फर्क है.
Mhm.
But what I'm saying is cat calling मेरे साथ दुनिया में हर जगह हुई है. Right?
That's powerful too, right? Because एक दूसरा नैरेटिव भी आता है कि पाकिस्तान में ज़्यादा है, but ये होती हर जगह है.
हर जगह होती है,
Yeah.
हर जगह होती है. और हमारा मसला ये है कि हमारा रिएक्शन इस पे होता है कि अच्छा अगर if streets are not safe as we think, let's put the woman inside the house.
Yeah, instead of fixing the streets, yeah.
rather than normalizing women being on the street,
Yeah.
or rather than normalizing teaching our daughters and our sisters how to say how fucking dare you. You don't have a right to do that. But we're getting into I think यहाँ पे एक dangerous चीज़ हमें differentiate करने की बहुत ज़रूरत है. मेरे ख्याल से जितना काम हमने किया है और जो हमने सीखा है उसमें ये पता चला है कि it's not about safety, it's about respectability.
It's about respectability.
It's really about respectability. How can हमारी घर की औरत बाहर ऐसे क्यों चलती? You know, how can she be outside?
Right. इज्जत का जो concept
इज्जत का honor
Yeah.
का concept है,
Yeah,
right? और
honor.
किसकी इज्जत? मर्द की इज्जत.
मर्द की इज्जत, yeah.
Right?
बाप
So,
की या भाई की,
because
मियाँ की.
what's wrong with her walking outside? And you know what the problem is here? They're worried that what is the threat? Let's go back a bit. Okay, थोड़ा सा मैं lecture
Yes,
दूंगी यहाँ
yes,
पे.
please.
Threat क्या है हमारी perceived threat है the common man, right? The working class man.
Yes.
And I just explained to you how most assault is taking place by
Inside the
men
house.
we know.
Yeah.
It's not the man on the street.
No.
Okay?
No.
What they're really scared of, what the patriarchy, what पिद्दरशाही और हमारे बाप भाई उनको इस बात से डर है कि कहीं हम उन लोगों से दोस्ती ना कर लें. What if we actually end up interacting with the common person in a way that is not harmful? And that has been my experience with, there are certain dhabas, for instance, that I started frequenting a lot.
Yes.
तो अब आप एक जगह जब पहुंच जाते हो तो आपकी जान पहचान हो जाती है.
जी.
And I have never felt unsafe at those places. In fact,
so
they've become my
interesting.
friends,
That's
right?
so interesting,
Now,
right? Yeah.
अब आप सोचें अगर मेरा कोई कज़न शज़न चल रहा है और मुझे देख रहा है वहाँ मैं बैठ के चाय पी रही हूँ एक ढाबे वाले के साथ, तो ये सेफ्टी का मसला है या रिस्पेक्टेबिलिटी का मसला होगा? उसकी गैरत क्यों जागेगी?
Respectability. गैरत तो हाँ,
right?
इसीलिए
वो
हाँ,
अम्मा
हाँ.
अब्बा को क्यों बताएगा? Because
Yeah.
I am safe. There's nothing wrong
See,
there.
that's interesting, yeah.
So we need to really, this is not just a gender issue. This
No.
is a class issue.
Yes, yes.
And it's an interlinked issue. These oppressions are linked.
So you say, it's very interesting that you say class because so I grew up in privilege, lots of it, right? Or I understand it to be privilege, but it was also एक तरीके से extremely stunting to my growth as a person. Till the age of 16, I was in Hyderabad. Hyderabad में didn't really security issues and all those things. वालिद साहब की occupation कुछ थोड़ी ज़्यादा खतरनाक थी.
Okay.
Newspaper person ना, तो अगर आप न्यूज़पेपर में किसी के बारे में कुछ गलत छाप देते हैं तो फिर वो आपके वो बोलते हैं हम आपको मारेंगे. मतलब
सही,
कितनी
बिल्कुल.
इंटरेस्टिंग बात है ना.
बिल्कुल.
I don't know why they would do that. So anyways, lots of security issues and all those things. So I always understood the common man, like you've said, and it pains me still to say it, to be at odds with me. Right? And that's privilege too.
At odds with you, meaning?
It at odds with me meaning I have something that they want.
You feel threatened.
Yeah, I feel threatened.
But that is it. The oppressed party doesn't want to give up power.
Exactly.
Sorry, the oppressor.
Oppressing.
The oppressing party.
And what's interesting
Yes.
is what's difficult is to at least accept that you have been part, even non-tacitly, even चलो मैं अपने आप को ये grace दे रहा हूँ ना. I'll sit here and give myself this grace. I was non-tacitly part of this oppression.
Yeah.
To call yourself the oppressor is a very difficult thing.
Yeah, but we have to.
You do.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
As a Sunni Muslim, I am an oppressor.
See?
100%. And I think
yeah.
we need to say that so that we can start to think about, okay, now how do I distribute this? How do I, work through this
Fix
privilege?
this. Yeah, fix this.
Because do I really want to, जब से मैं पैदा मतलब यूँ नहीं चल सकता और जिन लोगों के पास privilege है उनको ही उठना पड़ेगा. So just bringing this back to girls at Dhabas
Yeah,
again,
sure,
right?
of course, yeah.
Because a lot of another argument we got was कि ये critique थी कि ये कैसा मसला है कि औरतों को सड़कों पे निकलना है. और बड़े मसले हैं कि पढ़ाई नहीं मिल रही हर किसी को या let's talk about reproductive health or let's talk about the more important issues. And that's another interesting thing is that it's okay for women to ask for rights when it's something productive or important. If it's education, if it's health, if it's job, if it's naukri, if it's mobility, they're serving some purpose, right?
Yeah, but God forbid they should have some leisure in their life.
Exactly. And जो अब हमारा emphasis था on pleasure on activism by talking through talking about pleasure, through talking about वो जो मैं रूहानी एक ईज की बात की जो आपकी spirit है उसकी क्या बात?
But certain words even are so supercharged. When a woman says pleasure, immediately sexual connotation.
It has a sexual connotation.
And that's
Yes.
how is that not fine?
That is totally fine. We need to accept that. We need to talk about our sexual pleasure as much, and I think these things are linked, right?
But why the taboo around it? You know what I mean?
Why the taboo around it?
Why the taboo? Okay, no, I know why. But why the taboo around just saying कि हाँ ठीक है, she wants pleasure.
बिल्कुल, because we
नहीं.
like to, जो हमारी कौम है ना,
हाँ.
we like to sexualize women, but we don't want to give them sexual agency. This is our problem.
Right.
कि हम उनको सेक्सुअलाइज करेंगे लेकिन वो अपनी सेक्सुअलिटी के बारे में बात नहीं कर सकती. और ये बहुत एक शिफ्ट आ रहा है. When you look at the younger generation, I mean,
that's
kids
great, though.
younger
It's
than
okay,
me,
so
right?
yeah,
It's incredible because I think these things are linked, right? When you talk about your body and its autonomy, it's linked to everything. To everything from my sexual rights, to my rights in the city, to my mobility, to even my reproduction, my
Of
where am I going?
course.
Like it's not a
Yes.
separate thing. So
Yes.
I'm really glad we're naming this right now क्योंकि बहुत ज़रूरी है ये और
यार.
बहुत ज़रूरी है इससे shame को हटाना. जो the link between shame and sexuality is another thing that it just it keeps taking us back and back and back.
My thing is, I have recently come to terms with it, and by recent, so I'm 28 years old. Allah ka karam hai. I don't know how I made it this far, but Allah hayati de. But till the age of, I'm pretty sure till the age of 25, I wouldn't even think about these things. ये क्या बकवास है यार?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's ये बहुत एक common चीज है.
Why do you think? I'm going to push you a bit. क्यों
Sure.
नहीं सोचना पड़ा आपको इसके बारे में?
Because I'm a man.
Thank you for
Not-
saying
not
that.
only-
I'm
not
really-
only-
No, I think it's so important to admit,
But it's
right?
it's not even just that. I'm not just a man. I'm Sindhi
Yes.
in Sindh.
Yes.
I'm Sunni, right? And these are I love these things about myself. These are beautiful things, but I have, because of them, I have so much privilege, and I also have monetary privilege, like financially.
Yes. Absolutely.
भी क्या कोई सीन नहीं है, right? So obviously I'm always going to have suitors and stuff, just by the virtue of these qualities. I don't care, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, कोई औरत मुझे नहीं समझ आई तो दफा हो जाए. क्यों दफा हो जाए?
Interesting.
समझने की तो कोशिश करो ना थोड़ी.
I अभी आपने कहा और मैंने आपको थैंक यू बोला ना, but अब मैं एक और बात भी कहूँगी कि
Sure.
on the one hand, yes, I appreciate especially all the men who are starting to admit कि yes, we have privilege, but इसमें कोई टॉफी देने की बात नहीं.
नहीं.
सही है. And the other thing to all men is कि do better, do more.
This is where you
don't
start.
be quiet and don't be quiet in your bloody house.
No.
उधर से आप शुरू करें. हम
जी.
ये वही पब्लिक प्राइवेट स्पेस वाली बात करें, लिंक्ड है. आपके घर में हर जेंडर के लोग मौजूद हैं. तो आप उधर देखें कि आपकी प्रिविलेज से कौन से निज़ाम जो है ना वो चलते जा रहे हैं, क्योंकि आप चुप हैं, क्योंकि आप कंफर्टेबल हैं. किधर है कौन सी जगह है जहाँ आप बोल सकते हैं, जहाँ आप because you have power. In my house, for instance, I can say the same thing my brother says. He will have more power.
Yes.
So what is
100%.
that? What is that situation?
Yeah,
right?
पता है क्या, Sadia? I cannot. I don't have the words to tell you how much I agree with you because I have two sisters, right? And they are at least 80% smarter than me, at least. And that's me being kind to myself, right? But like you said, my work, for the longest time, what I said just meant more. So ab bazokat, like you said do better, right? Bazokat, doing better means speaking up. Bazokat, doing better do better means not speaking at all.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
Withdraw yourself because some
Absolutely.
equations are just tainted. Right?
Yeah.
So then withdraw yourself from the equation. अपने आप को निकाल दो फिर देखो क्या होता है. Right? Because I have long क्या अब मतलब जब से मुझे समझ आई ये बात, I have believed कि what is truly essential, or at least in my myopic opinion, what is truly essential for women empowerment is unconditional regard and support. Don't even unconditional love नहीं भी हो. I don't have to love my sister all the time for all the things that she's doing.
Absolutely.
But I cannot let her think for a second, my sister, my wife, my mom, anyone, my friend, anyone, my daughter, if I have a, वो alarm करेगा. I cannot even for a second let her think कि मैं कोई ऐसी चीज़ कर दूंगी जिसके बाद ये मेरे पीछे से हट जाएगा. मैं दूसरा जो भी बंदा है ना, जितना मेरे अंदर है उसके ऊपर उतार दूंगा, आपके पीछे से मैं नहीं हटूंगा. This needs to be the attitude. It's not the attitude. Unfortunately, it's not even a father's attitude.
No, there's a lot of intervention. There's a lot of controlling, right? Like जिस तरह से पिद्दरशाही, patriarchy हमारे मुल्क, हमारी society में manifest है. And I mean, I'm talking about the world that we know, right? Our urban middle upper class society.
Sure.
उधर एक मर्द का काम ही है कि वो औरत को पुलिस करे, उसको सर्वेल करे और उसका हर नज़र रखे ना कि उसने क्या पहना है. Like, why are fathers involved in what their daughters are wearing? That's sick.
I don't know.
That's
because,
sick to me.
Yeah.
You know, because it's not a oh beta this looks nice or not. It's a sexualizing interest.
Sure.
It's like, oh no, this shirt is too. What is this? Why have we made little girls so aware of them as a sexual being and that being a bad thing?
Yeah.
It's not a positive exploration of their sexuality.
No.
It's
Absolutely
totally
not.
shameful. It's a shame-ridden thing जिससे आप उनकी self-esteem इतनी मार देते हैं. और उनकी बॉडी के साथ हमारी बॉडी के साथ रिलेशनशिप इतनी fuck कर देते हैं
Yeah.
just completely, right? Because
Yeah.
it just destroys us. From the moment you hit puberty, you're thinking about, oh, my bra strap, oh my, मेरे पैड यहाँ खुले नहीं पड़े हों. You know what world are, do boys don't know what pads are, do brothers? And
They don't.
फिर आप उसी बेटे को भेज रहे हो, आप नीचे जाके खरीदो अपनी बहन के लिए क्योंकि वो तो नहीं जाएगी और आप पेपर बैग में लाओ. So it's just weird, you know.
It's so weird.
It's so weird. It's absurd when you think about the kind of
What's
systems
absurd
we
is,
have.
again, अल्लाह का करम है, इतनी सारी एजुकेशन, बाहर भी पढ़ाई की सब कुछ. I recently found out how uncomfortable periods are.
You didn't know, yeah.
Recently meaning 27, 28, ये उम्र.
You, in the sense of you didn't know about PMSing, and you didn't know about the cramps and the pain and all of that. You had no idea. You
No
thought
idea.
it was a smooth sailing ride.
I didn't know anything.
मजे हो रहे हैं.
नहीं नहीं भाई मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ till the age of 26 I full Muslim till the age of 26 मैं जो है ना I wouldn't understand why girls wouldn't fast and I always thought it was a toughness thing.
Oh wow! And a lot of men don't. You're right. A lot of men don't. And here's the other interesting thing: we protect men from women's pain. We protect men, and women's pain is just something that is a fact, but it's not never to be seen, right? Everything from हमारे यहाँ childbirth के दौरान, why are you not allowing that husband in? Whose hand is he supposed to hold? Why can't her
Yaar,
partner be there?
Okay, Sadia, I've heard some horror stories
Right, so
with labor and stuff.
Right, so
horror
I'm
stories.
talking about women's pain. That's one extreme of it. The other everyday extreme I'll talk about is, things like bodily, like threading, and आपको पता है कितना दर्द होता है?
Okay.
कितना दर्द होता है?
I know वैक्सिंग में कितना दर्द होता है
बिल्कुल.
because I did jujitsu और
Yeah.
मुझे एक बार बैक वैक्स करानी पड़ी थी.
एक दफा ना.
एक दफा.
अब आप सोचें.
बस,
सही है.
सही है.
अब आपका ये रोजे की तरह आप करे जा रहे हैं. लेकिन इसमें इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ ये है कि हम we are a society that is not okay with visibilizing the cost of a woman's beauty and the pain of a woman's beauty. हमें चाहिए बहुत प्यारी औरतें, you know.
चाहिए ही
We want it to
प्यारी
look
वाली.
good.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have a unibrow. Of course you should be threaded, but we invisibilize the process. Does that make sense? Or at least men are
yes.
protected from all of this.
So interesting that मैं किसी और की तकलीफ से that's what you said ना मुझे किसी और की तकलीफ से हिफाजत हासिल हुई है because I am this whatever this is. And to go back to the labor piece, I have heard stories of women giving birth the one day or the morning and being forced to walk home, and these were women in privilege. This is the other thing, right? So ये भी एक मसला है कि we cannot just be like नहीं जो privileged ख़वातीन है वो ठीक है, कोई भी ठीक नहीं है.
No.
कोई no one's completely fine.
No.
Are some people suffering more? Sure, some people need your help more, but everyone's suffering.
Absolutely. Yeah,
right?
I think with if you're at a disadvantage if you're a woman, and of course if you're an upper class woman, if you're a middle class woman, there you have more privilege. So वो हम intersections की बात कर सकते हैं, लेकिन ऐसी बात नहीं है कि अगर आप के पास गाड़ी है, बंगला है और नौकर चाकर हैं जिस तरह से हम समझते हैं,
तो
कि
आप
वो
set
आपकी
हो.
लाइफ सेट है. लेकिन इसकी फ्लिप साइड ये है कि अगर आपके पास वो सब privileges हैं, if you are a woman in that position of power, then in my opinion, as a feminist, it is your responsibility then to do more to do away with that privilege, to dismantle that privilege,
To at
right?
least educate yourself. At least do that much.
एजुकेशन तो है ये, मुझे इसका ताल्लुक अब मुझे समझ नहीं आता. ऐसी कोई बात नहीं है कि मैं एक मेरे रिक्शे वाले दोस्त हैं, ठीक है, वो बड़े फेमिनिस्ट हैं और मेरे स्कूल फ्रेंड्स हैं कुछ जो उनको अभी तक समझ नहीं आया है. तो इसका कोई एजुकेशन से ताल्लुक नहीं है मेरे ख्याल से.
Ana से ही ताल्लुक है, you think it's an ego thing?
I think it's a power thing.
Like I can't
Like what you
relinquish
said
that
about,
much.
you feel like this person who is of a lower class than you wants what
Dude,
you have.
for the fucking for the
No.
longest time, I couldn't even go out into the city because I was so petrified कि यार, and it makes me sick now to say that because मैं जब मलेशिया गया, बिल्कुल मैं औकात में था, 2 पट्टी चप्पल और सारे रोड घूमे मैंने. Canada is the same thing. अपने लोगों से इतनी नफरत क्यों मुझे?
Oh, exactly, same. I
know?
feel what you're saying because I've been privileged enough to travel a bit, right? And when I travel, one thing I learned about myself by traveling is that I love cities and I love those those random encounters you have in cities when you're on your own.
Sure.
आप चल रहे हो, फिर वो किस क्लास से हो, क्या हो, आपकी किसी से बात हो जाती है, आप बैठ लेते हो कुछ, maybe you have something together and then you go and you don't meet them again.
Same.
In my own city, I didn't do that before. Now I do, not a lot. Once upon a while, something will happen, some magical encounter, and I realized like, oh, I never had this encounter because a respectability वाली बकवास.
जी बिल्कुल ज़ाहिर है.
And दूसरा, जिस तरह से हमें पाला, बड़ा किया गया हुआ है, उस वजह से इतना डर था मेरे अंदर.
Yes.
Right? There's so much fear of my own city and my own people, and that's one thing I had to dismantle. So using my privilege then, right? Then what do I do with my privilege? Is I push those boundaries, and no one's saying आप अगले दिन नडर होके आप निकले और आप बोले अच्छा अब मैं
Because
queen हो गई हूँ street
because
की. No.
danger is real, right?
Yeah, you
The-
take calculated risks,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And you need to. I'll give you a simple example.
Yes.
I did not know the roads of this city until I started going out on my own. मुझे नहीं पता था कि आपने मुझे शहर में यहाँ छोड़ दिया और अगर आपने मुझे बोला सादिया मुझे यहाँ से घर ले जाओ, I wouldn't know. So I'm ill-equipped to be safe in the city. मुझे रास्ते पता ही नहीं. It was never considered important for a girl in my family to know how to get around the city, right?
No.
But once I started making those I started pushing that for myself, and I started out by going out into the city with friends, with male friends I trusted, with my brother, because वहाँ पे इजाज़त का रोल था. अम्मी बोलती अच्छा भाई के साथ जा रही हो तो जाओ. Okay, great. I'll go with my brother. But then taking those opportunities to then push the moments where, I could like slowly, like, okay, one day I wake up, I've been to that place enough with my brother. I think I can go there alone today. So let me go alone. Let me ask this trusted rickshaw wala to take me, and then spend some time at this dhaba on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And I did, and nothing happened.
Alhamdulillah.
And here's my other data set अगर मैं देखूं. Yes, harrowing encounters होते हैं, लोग तंग करते हैं, but over time you realize that you have as much positive experiences as you have negative. There's no like sort of के हर दफ़ा मैं walk पे निकलती हूँ मुझे कोई तंग नहीं करता. There have been times I go on a walk, no one said anything. I had such a beautiful day. I walk by the beach, I come back, and I feel like I feel connected to this city, right? I feel connected to this city. I feel connected to this body, to my body. And how does that then not affect everything from my bodily autonomy to how I think about my sexuality, to how I think about my time? It's all linked.
Yeah. It can't not be linked, right? Yeah, it can't. I had the brilliant head of Taskeen Taha Sabri on.
Yes.
Right? And he took a massive, smelly dump on Descartes. Right?
Okay.
Pardon the imagery. But on Descartes,
that's
right?
okay.
Yeah, on Descartes. And I'm just like, yaar, kyun? He's like, Kazi, who came up with this dichotomy, the mind-body dichotomy? Mind alag hota hai, body alag hoti hai. Who did it? In Western philosophy, I was like Descartes. Like a good philosophy, so I'm like Descartes ne kiya tha.
आपका test हो रहा था.
He's just like, exactly. And that's wrong because it's all connected. You cannot bifurcate like that. It's your body.
No. Mind, body, spirit. For me, it's all linked.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. My clothes are linked to my spirit.
That's interesting. It's very interesting.
It's all linked, yeah. Now, I mean, this is all, I didn't always think like this, but a lot of the work with Girls at Dhabas has led me to this. Because another thing I'll tell you about Girls at Dhabas is जब हमने शुरू किया था, हम में से काफ़ी लोग ऐसे थे, members थे, जो कि recently बाहर पढ़ के आए थे, और कराची या लाहौर में आए थे.
Okay.
So, and we were also in college together in Massachusetts, America.
Okay.
So there were some people who were based in Karachi already, but some of us were recent grads who had just moved back.
All right.
And in America or wherever we were, our relationship with the city was so different. So we come back here and suddenly it's like एक second, ये क्या हो रहा है?
Yeah.
ये हमारे साथ क्या हो रहा है? और अगर मुझे दोस्तों के साथ भी मिलना है, मैं कॉफी शॉप सिर्फ जा सकती हूँ, और या मैं सिर्फ घर पे मिल सकती हूँ.
जी बिल्कुल.
Why can't I just say, hey Amna, let's go on a walk?
Can't do
right?
that.
So this was a big part of this was a collective frustration that we were all thinking about, and Girls at Dhabas very organically came as a result of that. But
Is it still going? Girls?
It's kind of defunct. Like the archive is there, but the members, we fizzled out. People started doing other things. So 2015 to 2019 were the years.
That's a powerful run, dude.
Yeah,
4 years?
we were very active.
Yeah,
but then
mashallah.
it just started. It happened. I think things have a life cycle.
ठीक है.
But just to finish my point, the other big thing at that time for a lot of us was mental health. We weren't doing well mentally, right? Or emotionally or whatever. And depression was a thing, right? Different kinds of anxieties, different kinds of whatever the diagnoses were. But this group also became a way for us to really improve our mental health. Because you're building something together. You're doing it with other people who you love. And it's for a cause and, the feminist aspect of it. But beyond whatever the public saw, that's what the public saw, right? This collective. But अंदर क्या चल रहा था? हमारी अपनी हालत बेहतर हो रही थी क्योंकि हमारे शहर के साथ हालत बेहतर हो रही थी और वो जुड़ के हो रही थी, मिल के हो रही थी. वो किसी की एक I don't think it was anyone's sole individual journey. This was a shared journey, and we helped each other's individual journeys. So that's how it started. And now I'm here at a point where I'm able to see and almost unborder all of these different, the bifurcations you were talking about, right? Mind, body, spirit, city, public space, private space. ये एक ही है सब. It's all affecting each
experience,
other,
yeah,
right? So you
yeah.
need to be, just once you understand those linkages, it's really hard also to unsee them, right?
Yeah, yes, I completely agree. And I think this city in particular, I sometimes, because this is me sounding at least a little grandiose, right? I swear to you, there's nothing in me that holds me up. It's other people, right? And it's
Right.
this city. Like literally, every time I feel like I'm done, I've exhausted myself, I feel Allah का करम है, ज़ाहिर है अल्लाह का करम है. I'm not saying it's अल्लाह का ही करम है, लेकिन अल्लाह वसीले बनाता है ना. So this city in particular, Karachi, I literally feel like two sturdy hands on my shoulders. It holds you up, this city. It really does, right? It's a beautiful thing.
I don't know if I always feel like that, but
I'm a guy now.
you're a guy,
Yeah.
yes.
So
Yes, it is
I'm
that.
just more acceptable than you are. It's unfortunately that's all it is, right? But this city has stories and just brilliance if you look for it. You know, I was telling you about that pizza place, Etiola, in KDA
I
somewhere.
have to check it out.
You
I love
must.
pizza.
It's
It sounds
no,
great.
You don't understand. The best pizza.
Best pizza. Which one did you have?
Yeah, I had the British sausage. Like
I don't
I'm
know
a little
what that
vanilla.
is.
I'm a little vanilla.
I have never heard of the British sausage.
Oh, okay. So it's
What is that?
Pizza Hut में Super Supreme होता था ना?
ये मैंने सुपर वाले कभी नहीं खाए. मैं
अच्छा.
मैरिनारा, देखिए मैं वनीला हूँ.
जी.
आप नहीं है. ये तो सॉसेजेस आ रहे हैं. ये केड़ा वनीला हुआ.
नहीं तो मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ ना. अच्छा हाँ. So it's basically sausage, capsicum, black
Right.
olives, onions, mushrooms, right?
That sounds really good.
It sounds really
Sounds
good.
really good.
And the person, yeah, I wish I had his name right now. But the person's, he knows what he's doing, right?
Yeah.
Brick oven, small
Oh.
place.
Okay, you send me a pen later.
I'll
Now
send you a
I'm
pen. But the city is stories. That's what it is,
Of
right?
course. Listen, I'm a writer.
Yes.
Everything is stories.
Everything is a
It's
story.
all a story we tell
Yes.
ourselves.
Yes.
Or we make, or we change, or
Yes.
we and where privilege I'm gonna keep coming
Yeah,
back to
you
this.
must, yes.
Is where you have the power to rewrite that story, right?
Inshallah, yes.
Inshallah. And I think that's what we hope to try and do. It's you know लोग अक्सर ये ना कि अच्छा privilege है तो अब मैं क्या अब है हाँ है तो ठीक है अब आपके पास किसी भी तरह का capital privilege है gender privilege है. What are you doing with it? And the other thing that I think I was saying this earlier about middle and upper class women, right? The critique we got about ये आपने क्या उखाड़ लिया है?
Girls with Dhabas.
हाँ गर्ल्स एट ढाबस क्या उखाड़ लिया, you know, और इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ें हैं और आप लोग तो आप लोग तो बाहर से पढ़ के आए हैं, अंग्रेज़ी बोलते हैं. एंड येस दैट इज़ माई प्रिविलेज
Sure.
कि मैं बाहर से पढ़ के आई हूँ, कि मैं अंग्रेज़ी बोलती हूँ, कि मैं एक मिडिल अपर क्लास फैमिली से ताल्लुक़ रखती हूँ. एंड सो इन अ वे आई हैव मोर पावर टू पुश सर्टेन बटन्स, राइट? बिकॉज द अदर थिंग वी फॉरगेट इज़ प्रिविलेज और रिस्पेक्टेबिलिटी का बहुत लिंक है.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at a working class woman, she knows the streets.
Yes.
She don't got to learn the streets.
No.
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 I don't have to teach her. I don't even have, like, you know, but in fact उसके साथ रवैया और बुरा होगा.
यकीनन.
यकीनन, right?
Yeah.
मैं अगर चल रही हूँ सड़क पे and you can perceive me because of my clothes, and we do, again, clothes political, right?
Yeah.
Clothes tell you what class someone belongs to, or you assume. I might get catcalled, but if I snap back or whatever, you know, I'm still not going to get the same kind of reaction that she is. In fact,
Yes.
men will rush to my rescue.
Yes.
The few times, or you know, another thing that happens with me a lot, अगर मैं कहीं बैठी होती ना sidewalk पे, और वहाँ की दुकान होगी, तो भाईजान आ जाएंगे.
आप
दादी,
साइडवॉक पे क्यों बैठी हुई होती है?
क्योंकि मैं chill कर रही हूँ.
सही. Fair.
I'm having a good time looking at the sky, and I'm doing my, you know, or maybe whatever.
Sure.
It's no one else's business. Exactly. And if I did, अगर हम मलेशिया में होते और मैं sidewalk पे, आप सोचते भी नहीं ना? नहीं सोचते.
नहीं.
तो वही बात. अब now this man will come and say, आप अंदर आ जाएं दुकान में, या कोई आपको कहीं ड्रॉप कर दूं, you know, immediately men will rush to your rescue, like, oh, do you need to be somewhere? Because what are you doing
But
here?
that's a function of your privilege as well.
Yeah, so now if I'm saying no, me with my privilege, I am going to sit here and be unrespectable. I want privileged women to promise themselves that they're going to be more unrespectable. Down with this respectability business. So this is how then you take that or like sleeveless pehna, for instance.
Yeah, sure.
फर्क पड़ता है यार. अगर कल 50 privileged औरतें भी अपने ही डिफेंस में निकल जाएं, wearing a certain kind of clothes, and not and this is not a fight with the person on the street, by the way.
No.
Because who's stopping their car to tell me I'll drop you home? It's your upper class man, right? And who has an issue with me wearing sleeveless outside? It's my family. It's not the working class person.
Yeah, the working class person, देखो Maslow's hierarchy होती है ना. The working class person doesn't have time for this shit.
Yeah,
they're hungry, they're
so
starving
this is
and
really,
stuff.
this is really an argument. And ये जो हम पहले बात करते थे ना about complacency and like हमारी like अब आपने जैसे कहा कि 25 साल की उम्र में आपको नहीं अब तब समझ आया, या मुझे भी it takes us a while, but जब आपको समझ में आ रहा है तो आप उसको हिला कैसे रहे हो मेरे भाई? How are you shaking that up and saying I will not stand for this? And I really think that's it, and that's not something about like going to a protest or वो सब भी है, but आपके everyday में वो शामिल है वो चीज़ें. आपके घर में क्या चल रहा है, आपकी private spaces में क्या चल रहा है, आपकी अपनी body के साथ क्या relationship है.
Sure. Yeah, देखो, it's a lot of times ना, again, absolutes are established and positions are taken, trenches are dug. And जैसे आप बोल रहे हो, where you said, down with respectability, immediately people are like, हाँ तो फिर तो किसी चीज़ की भी इज्जत नहीं होगी, nothing will be revered. That's not what you're saying. You're saying the societal concoction of respectability needs to be done away with. You're not saying that people will not be decent to each other.
Oh yeah, there is no relationship between me wearing a certain kind of clothes and me being a kind person.
That's the problem, right?
Or me being a morally thoughtful person. Or there is and that is the trouble, is especially with gender, right? When a woman dresses a certain way, she becomes a bad girl because she is comfortable with her sexuality. Someone who is wearing what they want and not apologizing for, and they're showing a lot of skin.
And a lot isn't really a lot in Pakistan.
No, but again, like, why not? Why can't I wear shorts? I do sometimes. Sometimes I wear shorts down my neighborhood.
You just can't do that.
Huh?
You just can't do that.
But I have been able to. That's what I'm telling you. This is how I'm using my privilege to push it, right?
Yeah.
So it's not कि मैंने उठ के shorts पहन के बस मैं निकल गई. I live in this neighborhood for a while. Now, slowly, I'm also getting familiar with it. I feel safe there. There are, अब वहाँ पे जितने भी working class लोग हैं actually, क्योंकि वहाँ पे मैं और किसी को नहीं जानती. सही है. अब मैं family कहीं और रहती है. तो अब working class लोग हैं, उनसे मेरी interaction हो रही है रोज. So, you start smiling at each other. They start knowing you. Start feeling more comfortable. And now it feels like my neighborhood. So in my neighborhood, if I'm not able to push those boundaries, then I haven't done my bit to,
okay, yeah, but and it needs to first become your neighborhood. वो भी एक मसला होता है ना. There's a lot of pushback with neighborhoods as well, na.
Yeah, because and I mean it is easier to like show up in a place you don't know and wear whatever, because कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. You know what I mean? Like,
sure,
go to a completely different part of the city and just do whatever.
Sure.
फिर तो आपको निकलना है.
Sure.
But अपने घर से शुरू करना, और फिर इसके ताल्लुक अपने घर से भी. Like अब जाके मैं 30 साल की हूँ. Now I wear a sari at home in front of my dad like this. For the longest time I couldn't wear this. So ये सादिया सड़क पे निकल रही है. जो भी पहनना है पहने. Shorts भी पहन रही है, skirt भी पहन रही है. She's showing skin, but she's not doing it at home. That's also hypocritical in a way, right? Because again, like, that's me. The privilege starts at home, right? That's where it's most embedded.
Sure.
But for me, the city then gave me the strength to be able to do it at home. Now I can do it at home. But I have to remember that both of these are battlefronts.
Yeah, they absolutely are. Now I will ask you this. Much to talk about with feminism and the Aurat March, obviously. But I will ask you this. How, and I suppose you have answered with your relationship with the city and all those things, but if we could crystallize it, how does one mitigate the overwhelming effect of all this? Because it is overwhelming, no?
Mitigate the overwhelming effect of what? The patriarchy?
Of all this, of just the battlefronts, right? अब हमने ये establish कर लिया कि patriarchy है और गलत है. हमने ये establish कर लिया कि ये लड़ाई है और हमने लड़नी है. We cannot sit on the sidelines anymore, right? Now that you know, how does one resist being overwhelmed by this? The good old, limit your Instagram use and just drink your water and journaling.
I think you need to be overwhelmed by this.
You think so?
Because तब आप फिर कैसे समझ आएगा? अगर आप comfortable रहोगे तो फिर तो क्या हुआ?
So be a little uncomfortable.
I think you need not a little. I think being overwhelmed is the first step towards anything, right? आपको कोई चीज़ emotionally भी अपनी ज़िंदगी में solve करनी है, पहले आप overwhelmed होते हो.
Mm-hmm.
You let yourself feel it, right? We just talked about how your body, your spirit, and they're not separate.
No.
So if you're feeling overwhelmed, it's because there's a lot at stake here. So stay with that. Ask yourself, what about it, right? And then within that discomfort, you recognize where is your privilege. दो चीज़ें हैं. एक तो आप अपनी privilege को समझें. दूसरा आप समझें ये चीज़ें जुड़ी हुई कैसे हैं. कि gender का class से क्या ताल्लुक है.
Right.
Class का and then उसका फिर मलिक रियाज से क्या ताल्लुक है.
Sure.
So all of these things are linked, and once you begin to understand that, then you can't sit still. Right?
No.
Then you have to do something
Yes.
about it.
So there's a myriad fields of psychology now. One of them is called Psychosomatics, right? Just may literally the basic premise is that your body is like a battery, and it develops a psychic charge from trauma, right? So some of the things, or most of the things in fact, that happen to you are stored in your body. You're not conscious about a lot of these things.
Oh, absolutely. The body keeps the score.
Yeah.
And as another book says, yeah.
So तो ये भी एक बात होती है कि आपकी जिस्म भी आपसे हिसाब मांगता है.
बिल्कुल. तो जब कोई चीज़ overwhelm हो रही है तो वो कहीं से आ रहा है ना. You know, it could be the guilt of your privilege, or it could be the oppression of your trauma.
Sure.
It could be either ends of those things.
Sure.
But I think a sign that you are uncomfortable is a great sign.
Yeah, you think so?
I think so.
Discomfort is powerful. That's
For
interesting.
anything, like it's like even creatively, like I write, and the spaces of discomfort and confusion and lostness are the space where things open. जब आपको पता है, if everything is good, तो फिर तो आपको लगता है आपको सब पता है ना. वो फिर जब आप teenager होते थे ना, आपको लगता था आपको सब पता है. You know, you think you know everything.
Yes.
But I think that's a dangerous place to be, because you stop learning, or you stop thinking that anything has anything to teach you.
Well, I mean, I think you said it beautifully. कि वो teenage होती है, उसके बाद then you're supposed to grow up. You can't stay there.
Although I mean, I'm giving teenagers a bad name, but I think these teenagers are really
smarter than us when we were there.
Yeah, because look at what the world we've left for them, and you know they're doing great. They have a long road ahead of them, and they're taking up from what I see around.
Yeah, mashallah.
Mashallah.
At 18, like you said, at 18 I was in Nixa and मुझे सब पता था.
हाँ, यही लगता था ना कि हमें तो सब पता है.
हर चीज का जवाब था मेरे पास, क्या गलत होता है, क्या सही, सब पता था भाई मुझे. And then at 28 I know nothing. I know fuck all. It's problematic. But you will do most of your creative work on the precipice of despair or destruction or annihilation.
ये वो तमाशा फिल्म वाली चीज हो गई है. रणबीर कपूर की फिल्में देखी हैं आपने, रॉकस्टार तमाशा. This is the basic premise is you can't be an artist until you are suffering. No, I don't think that's true. I think art comes out of all of it. They are all landscapes.
Yes.
But ये जो हमने एक सोच बना ली है ना कि दर्द से ही जन्म ले सकती है आर्ट.
No. I didn't mean like that. No. So existential vacuum तो हम सब में है, right? वो तो है, right? और हम सब उसके edge पे खड़े भी हुए हैं. अब आप अगर चारों तरफ देखते रहोगे तो आप गिर जाओगे उसके अंदर. You have to look at it.
You have to look at it. Yes, you have to go there also.
Right?
I believe that.
Because and especially because any creators really, but some creators can get away with it. But musicians, writers, filmmakers, storytellers, they really have to go in and see यार क्या scene है, and then come out hopefully, inshallah.
Yeah, because you're not because it's that place of not knowing, right?
Sure.
You're, as a writer, when I'm writing something, sometimes I know, okay, मुझे exactly इस बारे में लिखना है, but most of the time when I'm writing, as I'm writing, I'm finding out, right? So I'm searching. So अगर मुझे पता होता तो फिर तो existential despair नहीं होती.
नहीं.
But it's, I think that place where one is lost, or that place where one feels overwhelmed, is often a place where one is just still searching. That's it. You're just still looking.
And that's okay.
And that's beautiful.
That's completely all right.
Yeah, not to say it feels like that, you know. दिल चाह रहा होता है बस आप.
हाँ, नहीं. You're right.
मैं तो मुझे लगता है मैं writer नहीं हूँ, ये क्या है?
फाड़ दो सब, खत्म कर दो. I think it's a beautiful thing, and I think for the longest time, as a man, I've struggled with that, because as anyone really, but as a man especially, you're supposed to have everything figured out by the age of 28.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure for sure.
Yeah.
Who you're gonna marry, what you're gonna do.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
What kind of house? What kind of car do you drive? All that stuff, right? I think it's okay to not know. I think you need to give yourself a breath, take some time, and be employed. Allah kare everyone be employed by your passions. If you're passionate about balance sheets,
Yeah.
dude, sure. I'm just not. You know what I mean? It's not complicated.
No, I think with what the year has been, with the pandemic, and if we still go ahead thinking that we need to know and we need to have everything in order, then हमने कुछ नहीं सीखा है.
नहीं, और हमें अपनी औकात नहीं पता है.
नहीं पता है कसमें. हमें अभी तक लगता है कि हमारे कंट्रोल में ये सब.
जी बिल्कुल.
ये कुछ नहीं है हमारे कंट्रोल में.
अल्लाह रहम करे.
So it's a it's a humbling, it should be a humbling feeling to realize that you are really nothing. You're being swept, and like just open your eyes to what you're being swept by. Open your eyes, swim when you can.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when you can, try to survive. Try to breathe.
Help others where it's just yeah.
Yeah, help others is a beautiful thing because I think it's essential, and I think if the lockdown should have taught us anything, it should have taught us that. Okay, we need each other. We really do. In any profession, in every profession, if you're a writer, and say, for instance, if I'm a writer as well, I cannot hold antagonism towards you just because you're better than me or just because you're doing more work or what have you.
Right.
And I think that famine mentality is endemic and it's so pervasive. कराची में, पाकिस्तान में, कि एक दूसरे की टांगें काटना तो हमें बोलने से पहले सिखाया जाता है कि यार अगर वो जीत रहा है मतलब आप हार रहे हो. नहीं भाई, अगर वो जीत रहा है तो मैं भी जीत रहा हूँ, अगर वो जीत रही है तो मैं भी जीत रहा हूँ. इस पे कोई इशू नहीं है.
बिल्कुल.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What do you write though? Like what
do
kind of
I write?
what kind of stuff do you do?
I write in multiple genres.
Okay.
So I write non-fiction, fiction, and poetry.
Cool.
So I started off my career as a journalist. That was what my training was, and it was in very like reportage, fact-based reportage kind of. That was my whole deal because I studied journalism in undergrad.
Sure.
And I moved back here and I worked at newspapers and did freelancing and stuff.
Right.
But over the years, and a lot of it has to do with my feminist journey as well.
Sure. Okay. Of course.
I've moved toward I have moved more towards narrative,
Okay.
and so now I write essays. They're kind of like memoirs, so non-fiction essays and
First person.
yeah, often first person. They're usually about my life, and I write fiction. I have a short story coming out soon. so
Inshallah.
that'll be fun. It's
Inshallah.
about a matriarchal society
Oh, utopia.
in the future. Yeah, it is. It is a kind of utopia. It's fantastic. I'm
Yeah.
living all my dreams in it.
Yeah.
Everything that we don't get to live, I'm like, इस story में इसमें सब डाल दो शादी.
अल्लाह करेगा सादिया. अल्लाह करेगा
और
इंशाल्लाह.
कुछ इधर उधर हम नज़में लिख लेते हैं.
और कुछ नज़में भी.
लिख लेते हैं.
हस्ब ज़ायका जब.
Husband. Yeah, I read a lot of poetry.
Yeah.
I read a lot. It's honestly what saved me when I was going through a really, really hard time in my life.
Yeah. Poetry.
And poetry specifically.
Someone, I don't know, I forget who, but someone said, poetry doesn't belong to the poet, it belongs to whoever needs it.
I feel that about all art.
Yeah.
It doesn't, once you put it out there,
Yeah.
once I put out my thing out there, right, who does it belong to? To the person who's reading it. It's out of my control then.
Yes.
It's a great exercise in learning to let go.
And you should never want to control it. There's this brilliant, powerful, one of the best ballet dancers ever, a French lady. उनका नाम भी मैं भूल गया हूँ ज़ाहिर है, मैं बुढ़ा हो गया हूँ. And she said this. And आप देखो, just imagine that she's working out and doing a physically intensive task for at least 10 hours a day.
Wow, yeah,
At least.
Dance is, my God, I wish I could. It's beautiful.
I know.
Yeah,
I know
go
some
on.
people we can learn. सही हो जाएगा इंशाल्लाह.
Okay, great. Chalein pe.
Shout out Zamina and Breakna. पर बहरहाल, and she said this. She's like, देखो, I put 10 to 12 hours of every day of my life for 30 odd years into this, and I'm telling you, I was never concerned about the outcome. It's not my problem. It's not my problem what comes out. I need to give myself completely to this, right? How people perceive it, it's their problem because it's their thing. It's not mine anymore. And I was just like, यार आप इतनी powerful क्यों हैं आखिर?
Yeah, no, I really agree with that.
You
It
know?
resonates a lot.
You must resonate with that because
Yeah.
and ज़ाहिर है myopia भी मेरे मर्दों की खसलत है. तो एक और बात मैं बोलता चलूँ. When I started the podcast, right? Everyone was like, यार, the thumbnails aren't nice. Change कर दो, मैं नहीं change करूँगा. They were like, don't just introduce the guests like this. Give us descriptions of what they do. वो नहीं करूँगा. Then they were like, अच्छा अब जो है ना हमें पूरी वो आप जो है timeline बता दो कि इतनी लंबी गुफ्तगू में क्या क्या हुआ है. मैं वो भी नहीं कहूँगा. The problem is, the whole point is to have a conversation. You and I don't know where we're going. We don't know what's going to come next. We might disagree, and that's all right. And we might agree completely, and that's okay too. But people far too often in Karachi and Pakistan feel entitled to everything. You know what I mean?
Just hating on our comp.
No. I love my comp.
It's okay. It's okay too. But it's okay. नहीं ये भी इस बात बिल्कुल सही है कि जो खामियां हैं
वो है.
Name them, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're in us too. Let's not deny कि
Of course, dude.
सीख रहे हैं. Hopefully better हो रहा है.
Inshallah.
But I completely resonate with that, and I think I teach as well, and
Where do you teach?
I teach online. I also taught at Indus Valley as adjunct faculty last semester.
Cool.
And I have a course that I teach on Zoom, which is it's a creative writing course. And a lot of my students will talk about this idea of the reader a lot. The reader, right? कि reader को ये पसंद आएगा या reader का ये. But James Baldwin, one of my gurus, says there is no reader. There is only an audience, and the audience is created when you create. जब आप कोई चीज़ बनाते हो, audience आ जाती है. वो उसके response में ही आएगी, right?
It's powerful.
And you when you are creating something, or when you are recording, that you're starting this wonderful thing, you don't want to think about the end product because then you're not here.
I'm not here.
You need to be here.
I need to be right here
when
with
I'm
you.
writing something, I need to be with the sentence, with the alphabet, with the word. I can't be with the image of the thing published, like, and it's easier said. It's a lot of like,
Of course.
it's taken me years to like आपको यूं करना पड़ता है, like stop it Sadia, stop it.
Yeah. No, but so a lot of theories of humanistic counseling, which is one of the branches of psychology that I've had the pleasure of studying, alhamdulillah. Akhar may seem simplistic, but that's their whole point. They're like, the solution is to bring the client, patient nahi bolte, bring the client back to the present. Bring them out of the past, take them away from the future, bring them back into the present, and the mind will do a lot of the fixing itself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Behral. I recently had a guest on, powerful lady, Kinja Khoso, her name is. She runs charities for women. She's a powerful real estate agent in herself, and real estate agency as a profession, उसमें ख़वातीन वैसे भी कम है. She came on and she said कि औरत march is not for me. I was like, cool, it's not for me either, but क्या scene है? She's like कि औरत march में जो चीज़ें सिखाई जा रही हैं वो सही नहीं है, right? So I do not obviously want you to respond to her. Why don't you educate me? I know a little bit more now than I did, say, a year ago. What does the Aurat March mean, and is it at all succeeding? Like, who is it for?
Until 3 years ago, national TV पे आपने कभी feminism लफ्ज़ इस तरह नहीं सुना था जैसे आप आज सुनते हैं.
Sorry.
Right? There was no conversation even about कि कौन सी feminism सही है, कौन सी feminism गलत है on national television. So how can you say that Aurat March is not safe? How can anyone say? Just that, right? Backlash बहुत आया.
आया.
बिल्कुल.
Doctored videos.
जब किसी चीज़ के सामने इतना backlash आ रहा होता है तो आपको पता चलता है actually इसकी क्यों ज़रूरत है.
You're doing something right.
Because लोग कब चीखते हैं, right? वही ना, the oppressed party is feeling threatened. And so it is always out of an insecurity that an oppressor will say ये गलत है. So even if there are women who, men, women, whoever, right? Whoever disagrees with what Aurat March stands for, my question to them would be, what are you benefiting from? Where is your privilege more secure if something like Aurat March doesn't rise up? It is absolutely revolutionary. हमने कभी पाकिस्तान में ऐसी चीज़ नहीं देखी. इतनी सारी औरतें, इतने सारे ट्रांसजेंडर लोग, इतने सारे नॉन बाइनरी लोग, कुछ लोग पब्लिकली आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं अपने आप को, नॉन बाइनरी कुछ लोग नहीं करते, right? But regardless of visibility, for all of these different bodies to come out on the streets, and this is the most shameful thing, right, in our society. What is the most shameful thing? It's skin, it's body, it's how you move it, it's what you wear, it's whether you तमीज़ से बैठो, चुप बैठो, यूं बैठो, आवाज़ ऊपर मत करना.
Yeah.
And here you have a visual of entire cities rising up, women screaming, yelling, shouting, having a great time for no one except themselves. Because what happens, right, in that, ठीक है, yes, it's also addressing a society.
Sure.
But there is a whole part of Aurat March which is just for us to experience that. Right?
That's the view I've always taken, right? that's the view I've always taken.
Yeah.
Is कि भाई देखो, like I said, sometimes you speak up, sometimes you pull back. It doesn't make sense for anyone to ask me what I think. It's not for me, actually.
No, but it
Lot
does make
much.
sense because as a man in the society, your word has value.
Sure.
So in any situation, if you even did something as simple as I'm a feminist, that's one more man publicly identifying himself as a feminist and therefore normalizing the idea that this is something that, you know.
What is a feminist?
What is a feminist?
What is a feminist?
A feminist is somebody who does not discriminate on worth on the basis of gender, class, money, religion. I don't think feminism is just about gender, by the way. Like I was saying, all of these things are linked, right? The word we use is intersectional.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
And a simple way I'll explain this is the same analogy of the common person, right? So, जो hawkers होते हैं आपके, for instance, जो कि carts चला रहे हैं या, you know, so those are considered, those men are considered to be a threat to me as a woman, कि वो आपको कुछ कर देंगे.
Sure.
It's not they're not saying कि कोई upper class. By the way, डिटूर है, थोड़ा लंबा जाएगा, बट एक बात मैं आपको बताऊं, अक्सर मेरे साथ होता है कि जब मैं सड़क पे चल रही होती हूँ, कोई फैंसी हाइलक्स क्या
हाइलक्स वीगो,
हाँ, आएंगी बड़ी गाड़ी, उसका शीशा उतरेगा और कोई बड़े से अंकल होंगे सूट बूट में, who will ask me to come home with him. So who is the threat here? Please tell me, everybody, who is the threat, right? So here's an example I'm giving about who's the threat. But हमें ये बोला जाता है कि बेटा बाहर मत जाओ क्योंकि जो the common person is you know, might do something to you. Ab, the same argument is then used to exclude that common man from family spaces. कराची ईट याद है आपको?
जी बिल्कुल.
हाँ, कराची ईट में family tickets होती हैं ना, हम सोलो मर्दों को नहीं, या or even if you look at DHA and the way we have sanitized, you know, where like we get rid of the beggars in some places, we get rid of the
family
you know,
park है, ये family day है Dolmen Mall पे.
तो अब दो चीजें हो रही हैं. एक तरफ जो लोग गरीब हैं उनको आप एक्सक्लूड कर रहे हो स्पेसेस से, पब्लिक स्पेसेस से, बेस्ड ऑफ ऑफ रिस्पेक्टेबिलिटी ऑफ द वुमन, राइट? ऑन द अदर हैंड आप औरत को भी एक्सक्लूड कर रहे हो बेस्ड ऑन रिस्पेक्टेबिलिटी. तो आपने क्या हो रहा है? So do you see how this is linked? So now feminism for me then is to become friends with my rickshaw wala. That's my feminism. Is when my domestic help comes in the house, right? I have a relationship with her. मेरे अम्मा अब्बा के घर में शायद उतना, you know, the things that we grow up seeing, like I come from a privileged family and the way I have seen a lot of domestic help be treated in my extended family is not flattering. It's absolutely downright oppressive.
Sure.
So now I'm in a position as a young person in this city who lives by themselves and who interacts with working class folks. Where is my feminism? Now this is my feminism. What are my interpersonal relationships like?
You see, but and the reason why I asked you, because sure, we've all learned the textbook definition and all those things, right? What theories of feminism are. But the reason why I ask you is because, and that's so refreshing, that answer, because it explains entirely why people are so afraid of feminism then. Right? It makes sense then for them to be afraid.
आप एक चीज नहीं उखाड़े ना?
नहीं,
सब उखड़ेगा.
No, it's
everything has to go.
It's a thought. Yeah, it's
and feminism attacks marriage. It attacks the family. So, you know, all of these people who say कि नहीं, or they try to excuse औरत मार्च कि नहीं औरत मार्च का message ये नहीं है. नहीं, I don't agree with that. I think feminism absolutely has to attack marriage. Not in the sense of आपको शादी करनी है आप करें. Why is that a dominant narrative or way of being? Why does it look like that?
What do you mean? What do you mean? Dominant narrative?
Why is that the only idea of a respectable family that we have? Why can't a respectable family have the shape of me living with two of my friends, adopting a child? This is radical for our society, right? But this is where we are, inshallah, headed. Because मसले की एक चीज़ जागीर बन गई है कि respectability की भी एक है ना कि ये सही है. वही बात आ गई ना कि औरत मार्च के messages गलत थे. इसका मतलब कि feminism के कुछ messages हैं जो सही हैं, कुछ हैं जो गलत हैं. तो again we are differentiating, and अक्सर आप देखेंगे differentiation इसी binary में होगा जो good girl bad girl वाली होती है.
सही.
कि ये रिस्पेक्टेबल वांट है, ये रिस्पेक्टेबल चीज़ आप मांग रही हैं कि आपकी शादी के अंदर आपकी राइट्स हो, ये ठीक है. अब आप कह रही हैं मुझे शादी नहीं करने का हक चाहिए, ये गलत हो गया.
नहीं,
you know,
नहीं.
What I'm just giving an example.
No, sure.
Or like with the skin, or there was one poster के, oh, you know, जो यूं ऐसे बैठते हैं कोई, मैं ऐसे बैठती हूँ आज अब से, ठीक है. I will now sit like this today. But this is an issue. Why?
I don't know why.
I will just make myself so comfortable and unrespectful.
Please.
So going back to Aurat March, right? Like, I think We are starting to now. आपने भी पूछा कि फ़र्क क्या आया. एक तो नेशनल टीवी पे हमने बात करना शुरू कर दी. मेरे लिए बहुत बड़ी बात है.
सही.
दूसरी बात ये है कि सेक्सुअलिटी और लेजर और डिज़ायर के बारे में बात होना शुरू हो गई है.
Sure, yeah.
And you know, how can you talk about even marital rape without talking about women's sexuality?
You can't.
You can't. How can you talk about women's agency on their bodies without talking about, do they, how do they see themselves as sexual beings? Are they allowed in our society
No.
to express themselves sexually?
They're not supposed to see themselves as
No.
sexual beings.
No. It's only when the male gaze is the one that's sexualizing them and
Yes.
deciding even what is a woman as a sexual being.
Yes.
It's not women deciding.
No.
And
No.
so I think a lot of women are uncomfortable by this because this threatens a lot of the family of what we know of respectability within, like, even how we behave. And I don't know what they think, ye kahan jayega, ye kya ho jayega, but they think of this as like some kind of problem we're going towards. But I see this as your daughters, your sisters, your women are gonna get more confident, are gonna feel more secure in themselves. जरूरत है कोई उन पे हाथ उठाए फिर?
नहीं, inshallah. So I do have a paradigm shifting solution for that.
You sitting here right now have a
Absolutely.
solution
I've had it all
for
this
all
time.
of Pakistan.
For all of Pakistan, I've had it all this
Please
time.
tell us.
I will tell you. Like usse pehle, so the what you're saying is, just to now clarify, so no one misconstrues, what you're saying is, a woman should be, or anyone really, should be allowed to choose to not marry if they want to not marry. Should be allowed. Nothing
Yeah.
should be forced on anyone. That's all you're saying.
Should have any kind of whatever, not just woman, anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Family should be what family means to you and looks like to you. There's this idea that we talk about, chosen family, right?
Yes.
Have you heard it? Yeah,
Yes.
chosen family.
Yes.
And it's spoken of a lot in queer culture.
Okay.
So chosen family is the idea of the shape of a family as you choose. My chosen family could be my blood family,
Sure.
but it could be my non-blood family.
Yeah.
It could be a few friends.
Yes.
It could be one sibling, few friends. It could be my partner. So it's not one thing. It's not marriage or no marriage.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
more like marriage को थोड़ा नीचे लाते हैं
Mhm.
और बहुत सारे तरीके हैं.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go into those dangerous discussions about polyamory and all those things, and maybe.
No, I mean, yeah,
maybe
I
table
have a
that.
very open view about this, and I think again, like, this is again me then, taking my privilege,
Yes.
because here is a platform, and saying, you know what, yes, we need to talk about that.
Sure.
Why
sure,
not?
sure,
Why
sure.
not all of this?
Yeah. And देखो, I think एक चीज जो मुझे बहुत सही समझ आती है, you can choose to disagree with all of this. That's okay too. It's okay to disagree with, you think marriage is something that is foundational to your life. Cool. That's fine
बिल्कुल,
too.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
fine too.
आप करें.
आप करें, लेकिन you cannot try to monopolize the truth.
Yeah, and you
That's
can't impose, and you can't.
Sure.
मसला imposition से भी कम legitimacy का है. हमारी society में आपको legitimate तब देखा जाता है
जब
in a
सही हो।
family जब आप शादीशुदा होते हो. You're legitimized by the state.
You're validated, yes.
You're validated by
Yes.
religion, by the
Yes.
state, by your family, by their family, there's a big difference between something as simple as something girls hear a lot. शादी के बाद कर लेना. तुम्हारा husband तुम्हें करने देगा.
That's the downright, like, insidious.
Right. But
in
why?
How it controls
But
it.
there's something deeper here. The problem is that we see marriage as that legitimizing stamp. थप्पा लग गया है. अब तुम करो.
That has to do with sexuality as well, no? कि अब जो है
Of course,
ये
of
किसी
course
से
it has
बंधी
to do with
हुई है.
sexuality. ये बंधी हुई है.
अब बंधी हुई है.
बिल्कुल
उससे-
बिल्कुल बांध दो इसको जल्दी से. And that's why we're afraid of women like me scared. My family's fucking scared of me. They're like, इसका सीन क्या है? क्योंकि सारी cousins की शादी हो गई है. ऊपर से मैं कपड़े भी वैसे पहनती हूँ. And like all of this stuff. So in their head it's like, okay, a loose sexual woman, a dangerous woman, a threat to society. She will disrupt our family. Well, that's what I'm here to do.
That's what you're here to do.
That's what I'm here to do.
That's what you're here to do.
Absolutely.
My groundbreaking solution to assault and all of women's issues, all of them.
I don't even know where you're going with this.
I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
It's the best. I had 2 wonderful podcasts with Prey Maiman. Prey is rants in your pants, right?
Right.
And she and I उस वक्त अल्लाह रहम करे उस वक्त highway rape case हुआ था recently.
Right. I remember that.
Yeah, so her and me were speaking about the severity of the punishment not being as much of a detriment to stuff like that happening as the conviction rate, right? What is more important is for someone to understand, just on a consequentialist morality, what is more important for someone to not do a crime is for them to understand that I will absolutely face the consequences. There is no, but like 99% of the times I will be caught and I will be punished. Punishment फिर भले सिर्फ इतनी हो कि 5 साल जेल हो या 10 साल जेल हो, उससे ज़्यादा होनी चाहिए, लेकिन चलो. But that again is me being emotional, right? So her thing was, the consequence needs to be certain. In this system, ये तो नहीं हो रहा. So here's my solution, right? My solution is, all women of all classes, all rungs and walks of life, need to be given martial training and need to know how to use a gun. And every woman needs to own a gun.
Yeah.
When it is certain, when it is certified कि भाई अगर मैंने किसी को तंग किया
देखें
तो 99% of the times I will get shot. फिर हम इंसान के बच्चे बनेंगे, उससे कम पे नहीं.
No,
you're not a fan of my solution?
No, I'm totally
Opposed to
anti-weapon
it.
and anti-punishment.
So am I.
Yeah, I'm totally opposed to that. I also just want to bring us back. हमने binary में बहुत बात करना शुरू कर दिया. हम men women बहुत
Yeah,
कर रहे हैं.
yeah.
सिर्फ 2 gender नहीं है.
नहीं.
सही है. तो उसके वो बस I just want us to keep that in mind. In terms of punishment, I don't think it has anything to do with punishment.
You think so?
I think there's no link. I think it has to do with power because हमारे पास बहुत laws हैं. हमारे पास rape के laws हैं. हमारे पास harassment के laws हैं.
But there's
हमारे
no
पास
conviction, ना,
हाँ?
Sadia. There's no conviction. सही है, laws तो हैं, बहुत शानदार laws हैं. But there's no conviction. 20% conviction rate, I'll take those odds. Fine, I'll just do my business and then we'll see.
But here's the interesting thing. The people who commit these heinous crimes, they commit them over and over again.
They're repeat offenders, yes.
Or yes, there is a written thing of like, अच्छा आपके साथ ये होगा, but I don't know if that's necessarily deterrent because जो आदमी या जो इंसान किसी को मार रहा है, वो मारते वक्त उसकी क्या साइकी, आप साइकोलॉजी के बारे में आपने इतनी बात की ना, like what is that act of violence? I think it's a power play.
Absolutely, yes.
Right? I think it's a high. I think men hurt because it's a power high. And even if you convict them and put them in jail और वो निकल आएंगे, वापस वही करेंगे. You know, I think एक again इसका ताल्लुक है बहुत सारी और चीज़ों से, रोज़गारी से ताल्लुक है इसका. इसका ताल्लुक है हम जेंडर जनरली किस तरह हम जो सिखाया सीख रहे हैं, हम लड़कियों किस तरह लड़कों, all of that, right? And not just the 3, the 4, all the sorry, I'm losing my train of thought now, but it's just something disturbs me about this idea of
consequences
and a society that is punitive.
यार देखो, if you're doing something
Punishment
wrong,
if you're doing something wrong
there should be consequences, no?
and you're punished, there should be consequences, yes. But what kind of consequences? When we talk about punishment and consequences, we think of prison and hanging.
Hanging,
right?
Yes.
Why can't the consequence be that you are put into a rehab center where you are made to work on your own trauma? Because clearly something is making you do this.
Yeah, देखो.
Do you understand?
Yeah, I do.
अगर आपको सब कुछ, अगर आपको एक सोल्यूशन देना ही है पूरे पाकिस्तान के लिए, तो आप ऑफेंडर्स को एक शहर में डालें ना और बोलें कि अब आप थेरेपी करो, आप कुछ करो.
So
why is our solution a violent solution?
Affordability, 1. Affordability, 2.
Affordability what?
Affordability. You cannot afford to rehab someone who is so broken. You just will never get it out of them.
From where are you saying this? How have you done this?
Done what?
Have you tried this?
Okay, so someone. मैं आपको सिर्फ बता.
आप इतनी confidence से बोले कर ही नहीं सकते.
नहीं.
क्यों नहीं कर
So a
सकते?
rapist, right? A rapist is someone. Some things are broken in them, right? Some things are psychologically fractured in them. उनको heal करना बहुत मुश्किल होता है because they have developed these modes of thinking. They didn't just become rapist overnight, ना?
Okay, तो फिर मैं आपसे पूछूं, आप क्या इस मुल्क के 75% मर्दों को डाल देंगे?
अगर उनको जाना पड़ा तो जाना पड़ा.
क्योंकि अगर हम statistically देखें फिर, if 1 out of every 4, and this is just for women, this is just the statistics for women, okay? 1 out of 4 is raped.
Yes.
How many people are you gonna put?
यार देखो, if I'm looking for an absolute solution, ना, they have to go, dude.
I think they have to go.
They have to
but
go.
it's not people who are, these are people in your lives. Do you know this?
Yes,
They're
I
people in
do.
your homes. They're all going then.
Yes, they must now.
अच्छा ठीक है.
They must. No, I mean, listen.
I don't support
Agreed. Understand.
punitive response.
I'm on your side. I don't either, right? But the problem is, देखो, whatever school of psychology you adhere to, whether it's Jung or Freud, you will understand.
I don't know. These white men आप जिस तरह से लाए जा रहे हैं.
चलो. I don't know. Name a person of color who's a psychologist. I
didn't study psychology.
Oh,
I can't.
Oh,
I just mean like I don't understand these references.
Okay. So it's
but
just.
we don't have to go to them.
No. You don't have to go to anyone.
No.
But some fundamental tenets of psychology stand, right? Some of them are what we use for now to understand mental health, to understand why we work the way we do.
Okay.
And देखो, in theory school now they've been accounted for racism. Now there's also that कि भाई उस सब चीज़ों को भी एक तरफ कर दो. Let's make them inclusive. Having said that, all of them understand the way we develop based off early developmental stages. So whatever was broken, that most people don't turn into.
So then there's another solution for all this. Early development stages, right?
Yeah.
So let's put all our energies into the children, right? उनको कैसे
पहले रेप को रोकना पड़ेगा नहीं.
हाँ.
पहले रेप को रोके ना.
वो बच्चे ही बड़े होके कर रहे हैं ना.
नहीं, but the bleeding is happening right now ना. बच्चों को तो देखते हैं, बच्चों को देखना पड़ेगा, right?
Yeah.
And there's some institutes, एक है उनका नाम अब मैं भूल रहा हूँ, but there's some institutes that are doing some beautiful work.
I think I understand what you're saying, but
Yes.
you're coming at it from a very sort of structural standpoint, right? कि अच्छा एक इनको सबको जेल में डालो, इनको सबको ये करो, right? So those are sort of like overarching societal things that we can do. But the kind of work that I have done and I'm interested in doing is again about the everyday.
Sure.
Right? So ठीक है, prism, fine, we could go on and on and say I agree.
Yes.
But just to give an alternative way of thinking about it is in your everyday, all the time, these things are being cemented. It's in our language.
Sure.
It's in the way we talk to women,
Agreed,
talk to little girls. So अगर आप वहाँ से भी शुरू करें ना, बहुत फर्क पड़ेगा. It's something as simple as not sexualizing girls in their own house, right? When you hypersexualize something, you also make it. It's all psychology, right? You make it desired, and then like.
Sure, of course.
What's forbidden and desired, and all of that. So जब वो घर के अंदर हो रहा है, तो आप घर के अंदर के बच्चे जो लड़के उनको ये सिखा रहे हो कि इसको ये एक सेक्सुअल चीज़ है.
हाँ.
और आप लड़की को ये सिखा रहे हो कि not only are you a sexual thing, your sexuality is your responsibility.
Yes.
If you are being sexualized, if someone is staring at you, बेटा मैं आपको चमाट मारूंगी. That happens, unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
So even if you just start there, if you start in your house, if a child comes up to you, any gender, or I would even go further, stop putting this damn gender on our children, right? But ये बहुत आए, अभी हमारे लोगों को ये समझ में नहीं आएगा, लेकिन आहिस्ता इंशाल्लाह हम जैसे लोग अगर, if we have, it'll, but just coming back to, if it's something simple as a child comes up to you and says, I have been harassed, I have been hurt, someone touched me.
That's not your fault though. Yeah,
and
exactly.
you tell them, first of all, beta, it is not your fault.
Nothing to do with
Second of all, what is this shit? Let me handle this. And then you make sure that other children know कि ये इसका होता है.
Well,
don't protect, right? Don't protect people in your house from it.
No, and the most insidious thing about trauma, actually, other than the pain and the breakage, is because your mind is a rational mechanism or what have you, right? क्या होता है? Your mind.
Is it?
It's supposed to be.
I fundamentally.
You disagree? Okay.
I don't know. This idea of the mind is a rational.
Yeah. The mind, or the brain, whatever you want to call it, the mind tries to make sense of it, right? So पहले the mind will try to blame whoever, trauma, this and that. आखिर में, what's truly insidious about trauma is that your mind goes, Sadia, this happened to you. Must have done something to deserve it.
Absolutely.
And that is
yeah.
fucked. And then everything's gone, you know.
Right.
Because then you're like, yaar, मैं तो like इस चीज़ क्यों?
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
And where is that coming from? That's coming from something as simple as the moment a little girl hits a certain age, आप बोले शलवार पहनाना शुरू कर दो.
शलवार पहनाना शुरू कर दो.
हाँ, yes. Right? At least that's been my experience.
Yes.
आप फ्रॉक्स पहन रहे हो, आपको हवा मिल रही है, आप कराची में रहते हो, बहुत गर्मी है यहाँ पे. Please, I want my legs to breathe.
And I like dresses.
Right?
Dresses are nice.
Yeah, dresses are nice.
Yeah.
So now suddenly you're like, बेटा आपने शलवार पहननी है. और अगर मैं शलवार पहनना भूल गई और then suddenly it's like स्किन नजर आ रही है. और अगर कोई मुझे देख रहा है तो फिर it's like स्किन नजर आ रही है, कोई देख, like, do you see how it escalates?
Sure.
Right? So there's two things happening here. One, you are teaching this body that if something happens to you, it's because आपने दुपट्टा नहीं पहना या आपने यानी क्या
जी.
आपकी गलती है.
जी.
Secondly, all the people around who are potential harassers or rapists or whatever are getting the message that oh, she's asking for it. उसने शलवार नहीं पहनी है. So let me,
That's
you
powerful.
know.
That's serious. That's serious.
So
yeah.
forget the prisons, forget all of that. वो मुझे लगता है वो बाद की बात है, you know. And there are people who are doing structural work, but you and I, हम लोग policy में involved नहीं है ना.
नहीं.
ना ही हम बैठ के डिसाइड कर रहे हैं कि इस प्रिजन में कितने लोग जाना है या कन्विक्शन रेट क्या है, ना ही हमारे लॉयर्स.
नहीं.
लेकिन हम जिंदगी जी रहे हैं और आप पहले क्या करते हैं कि हर वक्त कुछ ना कुछ तो हो ही रहा होता है.
You're definitely adding all the time.
You're
yeah.
always adding.
Always.
What are you adding? Or what are you staying silent while it's being added? If this is happening around you and you're letting it happen, then also you are complicit. So I'm interested
See, that's serious. See,
I'm
that's very
interested
heavy.
in bringing people to just, you know, Girl the Dhabas, the idea was see it in your everyday, right? Yes, we are middle upper class feminists who
Right.
have a lot of privilege,
Right.
but उस landscape में हम क्या चीज़ें इजाज़त दे रहे हैं कि वो चलती जाएं उसी तरह से. हम क्यों नहीं उखाड़ रहे? क्या फ़ायदा मेरी बाहर की पढ़ाई की? You know, ये सब लानत है इन सब चीज़ों में. मैं बोलती हूँ honestly, what's the point of me getting a good education
Sure.
if I'm not able to, or to put it simply, what's the point of any kind of learning if you are living the same day tomorrow as you did today?
Yes. That's it.
You have to change. You have to be changing.
That's it. And so what you're asking people to do is seek discomfort.
Seek discomfort, and because doing something like this in your house, right, is like talking to children or even standing up. Like, these things are hard, they're uncomfortable, but this is what's demanded of adults at least, right?
Sure.
बच्चों को तो नहीं पता यार, right?
Sure.
उनके ऊपर नहीं है और उनके ऊपर हम बहुत डाल देते हैं. There are, I think, and it's not just girls. There's not just girls, right? Like,
No.
it's all like most kids, by the time they hit puberty, they've already been through some kind of assault on their space and personal, you know, their autonomy. So,
Oh, yeah.
तो
Oh, yeah.
उसमें तो हम सब शामिल हैं. वो तो हमारे हर वक्त हो रहा है. It's happening. So why do we then? I think this is also something. It's a very masculine way of thinking.
Sure, of course,
Is to
yeah.
think about structure की बात करते हैं.
Yes.
Government change करते हैं, ये करते हैं.
Yes.
नहीं.
Yes.
अपने गिरेबान में देखें आप.
Okay, so again, I will push back just this much. कि the study, also the conviction thing that Prey was quoting, it's a study.
Yeah.
Right. So जहाँ पे भी conviction rates अच्छी होती हैं, and by अच्छी I mean obviously 95% or
Yeah.
something, वहाँ पे there are much lower instances of this.
Instances of crime.
Instances of, yeah.
Now, obviously, I don't know about those statistics, but what troubles me about our country and the legal system, particularly with regard to putting people in jail, is कि हमारे मुल्क में जो है ना, हमने जो है ना non-Muslim के साथ बहुत गलत किया है. बहुत गलत
To
किया है,
put
right?
it mildly, yes.
Put it mildly, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
we are a violent nation against
Yes.
anyone who is not a Sunni Muslim.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you know, Justice Project Pakistan.
I don't. I'm
Justice
sorry.
Project
No.
Pakistan is they do work on people who are waiting on the death row.
Right.
So people,
Right.
the other problem is actually बहुत सारे लोग हैं जो वेट कर रहे हैं, उनको फांसी पड़नी है, वो वेट कर रहे हैं, बट उनमें से इतने सारे लोग हैं जो कि इनकरेक्टली कन्विक्ट हुए हैं.
सही.
और वो कौन बंदे हैं? गरीब लोग हैं, हिंदू,
Yes.
Christian.
Sure.
Look at our blasphemy law, right?
Sure.
So the misuse of law
Yes.
becomes a tool of the oppressor.
Sure. Of course.
Right?
Of course.
So in a country like that, I get really wary when we start focusing on, you know, that system. Because वो system एक powerful group का system है.
That's why my solution was not structuralist at all. My solution was empower the individual.
Yeah,
Always.
individual, yeah, but by putting the onus of self-defense on them.
Yeah.
You know? So it's and I'm not I think absolutely करें, you know, training करें. I carry a pepper spray with me.
You
I have a
must.
chaku.
You must.
And I don't live with any men in the house, so there's a, you know, we have like whatever we can do. कि अच्छा ये कुछ मारने के लिए कुछ होना चाहिए. So I agree with that. And it's not to say कि feminism का काम नहीं है structural. I don't want to say that at
No,
all.
of course.
Because a lot of, for example, between the 80s and between 1984 and early 2000s, so many bills have been repealed, changed, edited, and a lot of headway has been made, particularly for women and especially within family life as well. But उसका असर आने में टाइम लगेगा, right? तो लेकिन ये है कि वो एक चीज़ है, वो structural change साथ साथ, it has to go hand in hand with our everyday.
Sure. Yeah, no,
because
of course.
this impacts. Because the other thing here is कि divorce law है आपके पास.
जी बिल्कुल.
सही है. But is it okay to get a divorce in our society? No.
It's the worst thing in the world.
Right? So law का क्या फायदा? And even if it is okay in some family, there's so much shame and there's so much woe on the woman who wants to take divorce कि आपने उसकी self esteem को तो मारा हुआ है कि इतने अरसे बाद तो उसको हिम्मत मिलती है. मेरी family मैंने ये देखा है. It will take a woman in my family like years to finally gather the courage to say, you know what, I want to leave this man. And then what will happen? Family meeting होगी. ये आएंगे बोलेंगे नहीं एक और चांस दो, उसको बुलाएंगे, मीटिंग करेंगे, ये करेंगे, वो करेंगे, सुलझा देंगे, सब इन्वॉल्व हो जाएंगे, उसको वापस वहाँ भेज देंगे. So what I'm getting at is, you know, structures or the law, that's one limb.
Sure, of course.
Right? We have to think about also we can't separate ourselves from वो हो रहा है काम वहाँ पे. जब वो सही हो जाएगा, जब वो conviction rate सही हो जाएगा तो सही हो जाएगा.
नहीं हाँ, no, absolutely not.
अभी आपकी मौजूदगी में आपके रियल टाइम पास्ट प्रेजेंट फ्यूचर वही बात होगी. प्रेजेंट में क्या हो रहा है?
प्रेजेंट में ये हो रहा है. Divorce is very interesting because it's literally the right of everyone to get a divorce if they need it.
But you know, again, this is what I kept saying about the family. We elevate the family structure so much कि उससे बढ़ के तो कोई चीज़ है ही नहीं. तो आप कैसे तोड़ सकते हो उसको?
I feel कि if done the way it was supposed to be done, it's a beautiful thing. The family.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not. My problem is where anything becomes the dominant narrative or the dominant expectation.
Right. Okay.
Right? You have assigned worth to one kind of family over another. Also, who has, like, there are single parents, there are divorced parents, there's all kinds of families already.
Sure.
But we still have this idea of this nuclear, you know, ma, baap, beta, beti, whatever. And that's the ideal. And how many of these people are even equipped to, like, raise children? How many, like, you know, so it's just हमारे दिमाग में बस एक family.
मैं जो है ना
सेटल होना चाहिए बेटा. आप अभी तक सेटल नहीं हुई.
नहीं, मैं तो सेटल नहीं सेटल.
मेरे साथ भी ये होता है. मुझे नहीं है, मेरा उम्मीद नहीं है.
No prospects.
No prospects.
So armchair philosophy is what, as you have noticed, is one of the things that I do. Another thing that is another,
You said it.
I do. क्या हो गया? I do it, and I'm very proud of it. Another thing that it's called a priori reasoning. That makes it sound sexy.
Yeah, मुझे पता है. कॉलेज के ना यूं ऐसे आ रहे हैं वो झटके याद ट्रॉमेटिक से a priori और पता नहीं इसका कोई ऑपोजिट होता था.
हाँ, a posteriori.
Yeah.
Another thing that I suggested to help the ailing psyche of our country, because you know Pakistan also has a national level of low self-worth, and this I get from Taha Sabri. Like literally.
Makes sense.
एहसास कमतरी.
बिल्कुल.
एहसास कमतरी is more fundamental to us than a lot of other things. Than the national anthem. Than a lot of other things, right? So another thing that needs to be done is everyone who wants to be, you know, wants to be in a family, there needs to be some prerequisites. ऐसे ही नहीं आप बच्चे कर सकते हो.
आप खड़े हो जाएं. बच्चा पुलिस. ऐसे आप नहीं कर सकते हो कि हाँ आपकी दिमागी
तवाज़ुन,
you know, and like, are you okay? And I'm this is I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I fully. It's something I think about. I'm not going to say that ऐसे होना चाहिए या नहीं. But yeah, definitely ये जो है कि I think we need to expand our definition of what family can look like.
Agreed.
Family ho.
Sure.
Family सबकी है. Like I have my chosen family, I have my blood family, I have all my families.
Alhamdulillah.
Many families. सबके पास होती हैं. So if we could just expand what that can look like and not think of one as better than the other. You know? कि ये एक
Sure.
This is a better way of or a more you're a better human being या आपका दीन खत्म हो गया या ये हो गया whatever. All of these ideas.
दीन जो है ना वो तो अल्लाह मियाँ डिसाइड कर लेंगे.
बिल्कुल अल्लाह मियाँ डिसाइड कर लेंगे.
मैं जब चला जाऊंगा इंशाल्लाह, लेकिन उससे पहले
तक तो यहाँ बैठ के ना करे ना, बस
मुझे कोई ना बताए तो बेहतर है. I'm not causing anyone any harm.
No, I agree with you and let God do it then.
Yes,
Stop
exactly.
being God's spokesperson.
No one.
Please sit down.
No, the last one is gone. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You're not. No one is. Right? It's all. पता नहीं. And this again is revolutionary when it's really not. आप लोग सब भी यही बोल रहे हो तो you agree with me.
Yeah.
But then you also want to monopolize religiosity.
You want to monopolize.
I don't understand.
No, it's not. It's that. It's the deal between religion and patriarchy. It's not.
You think there's a deal?
There's a deal.
There's a deal.
There's a deal. That's a deal.
There's a deal.
Absolutely.
Patriarchy is a nicer sounding word than the other one that you use.
Piddarshahi.
Pittershahi.
Piddar.
I've learned something. Pittershahi is
Yeah.
learned quite a bit. Alhamdulillah. Lekin Pittershahi is
Yeah.
Pittershahi.
Na-manzoor.
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 Pittershahi is na-manzoor.
Nice.
Sadia, this has been wonderful. Right? This has been
Yes,
truly beautiful.
Absolutely. I had a-
प्लीज अपने सारे इंस्टाग्राम यूट्यूब जो भी है आपके पास हाँ वो सब
अब मैं खोल लूंगी एक YouTube इसके बाद.
you must
I think I should.
why must you not you must
Yeah.
you should
A joke.
no but you should
Okay.
it's not funny
Thank you.
so in Instagram for sure and Facebook if you want to do it link that
Yeah, I'll link my wherever in the chat or whatever you put it in my Instagram and my Twitter.
yeah
That's what I
but
have.
Sadia Khatri on Instagram is and then girls Dhabas का क्या था
No, it's girls at Dhabas, although the page isn't active, but you can see the archive. You can see
Sure,
all the work
yeah,
that has been done.
Still
so it's
counts for something.
GIRLS
Okay.
80 DHABAS
ठीक है.
on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Wow.
And then my handle is Saraswati by C, but we can type that out. It's fine.
yeah I know but Saraswati by C on Instagram
Twitter.
Twitter as well
Yes.
what are your thoughts about Twitter
I don't participate much.
you don't
No, I get a lot of like memes from it and like poems and
important
some people I follow. Yeah, it's my de-stressing time.
very it's fair
Yeah.
it's fair this has been wonderful
This has been wonderful.
right I really hope you continue doing the work that you're doing it's very important work right and I think you'll be fine inshallah I think you'll do well
Yeah.
Allah khair
No,
karega
thank you so much. This was wonderful and I'm looking forward to what people have to say.
people will say what they say but I hope you come back sometime inshallah
Inshallah.
and then we can maybe read some of your nazme
Definitely.
and then you can see how quickly writing can make me cry so yeah
Amazing.
Yeah.
Writing it makes me cry and then you can cry.
and then I can cry because you're crying Sadia Khatri
Thank
Kazi
you.
Akbar
everyone.
Assalamu
Thank
alaikum
you.